So I guess welcome to my live journal. We'll call it that. It's not really a blog. I decided to take a break from social media in general, as far as Facebook and Instagram, Twitter. And although I suppose you could argue that YouTube is, social media as well, I guess just somewhere where I can at least get my thoughts out. And, if it gets too crazy, I can always just deactivate this too, right? You know? Stressful times we're all dealing with. This coronavirus thing especially. I mean, on one hand, I can see people being desperate and upset and wanting to get back to work, want to get back to life as normal, but we're not going to have really that normal for a while. I mean, science doesn't lie. You can be as frustrated as you want, but it's not going to change that, unfortunately. And I'm very blessed in the most morbid fucking way possible that, right now I'm not in a position a lot of people are where they don't have an income, where they, I don't have to work right now. My plan was to get back to work. And considering it's in the medical field, I'm kind of okay staying home with my kiddos right now because they're what comes first. And if we had the ability to stay home, then we're going to stay home. And that's just how it's got to be. But a lot of what is really bugging me is the lack of leadership. And, yes, I'm not a fan of our president-in-chief. Did he drop the ball? Absolutely. But at the same time, you can't, he's not the only one at fault. World Health Organization, they definitely need to do a post-mortem on what happened there, because between them and China not being transparent, that didn't help at the beginning. But the point being is this is where we are now, and we need leadership, and we're not really getting leadership. And even by the president's own layout of the plan, as far as a step-by-step on getting the economy going again, people aren't even following that correctly, and he's asking people to liberate their states. I'm all for protest, don't get me wrong, and I'll get back to that in a little bit, but is this the time to have people out in public gatherings protesting and facilitating possibly spreading the virus more? So I mean, I can understand the frustration, because I know I live right next to a public park that is closed. I can literally walk across the street and I'm at a park that's right next to this beautiful basin. I can go fishing. Got a little beach right there, the whole deal. Freaking love Florida life. And I can't even take my kids over there and have them run around. Because it's closed. Sucks. It was one of the someone was living here, and can't do it. And I understand not having, your life where you want it at right now. Being able to go do those things, go fishing, go down to your favorite dive bar. I'd love to be hanging at the deck, having a couple beers, and shooting shit with my friends, my brother, lots of folks. Being able to take the kids out and go to a concert, go see a band play. We can't do any of it right now. But I'm okay making that sacrifice so that I don't catch it, because quite frankly, if I do, I could die. I have hypertension, I'm overweight, I'm not in the best shape, so it could take me out. And, after their mom died last August, I'm all they got. So I gotta be healthy. And all my brothers and sisters still working over at Lee Community Care. We were always the first line before the emergency room half the time. Everybody come in. In fact, people come in that are having strokes or heart attacks or precursors to those conditions, and then us turn around and look at them like, why are you here when you should be at the emergency room? You really need to go there, but thanks for stopping by. We'll call you an ambulance. Coronavirus and those type of illnesses are no different. If you come in with an OSAT that's below 90, you're going to the hospital. We'll definitely call the cab for you, but I ended up being out of that job before all this hit, and that's probably a blessing. I mean, I'll get back into working somewhere in the system at some point, because I love working with patients and want to get into patient advocacy at some point. So I'll be back, Lee Health, promise. Much love. But this is a scary thing. It's unprecedented. It's something hopefully none of us will have to go through for a second round in our lifetime. But we need leadership, and I wish the president would show more poise, and instead of trying to make himself look good for re-election or blaming the last administration, dude, we just need leadership, man. Just say, okay, you know what, we weren't on top of this, but this is what we're doing now, and do it, and you're just not. I watched the last medical briefing, and you couldn't even help yourself of taking credit for things that you didn't even do. You kept saying my team, our team and the team, they need credit, this, that, and the other, and you said I and me more times in the press briefing than you could even give credit to the crew. And again, all that aside, dude, just leadership is what we need, and you're not giving it. So, and our governors are, oh my gosh, I mean, opening the beaches, whatever. If everybody's following guidelines, it's really not that big of a deal. But there've been too many images where they're not following it. Particularly up in Jacksonville. I mean, some of it was just hyped up by the media. It's like, come on, guys, you're just putting pictures out there just to get a story, and I understand that, but other times not so much. So, and then, I'm from Atlanta, born, bred, and raised, and the governor wants to open nail salons and hair salons and gyms all back up on Friday. Didn't even touch base with local mayors or anything like that. This is just how it's going to be, and they cannot reverse the order. How the hell are you going to social distance in a fucking hair salon? I don't know. And that's where it gets to social media. I deactivated my Facebook. I'm not going to be on Instagram either, and Twitter. Because all it is negativity. There's a lot of positive going on out there, don't get me wrong. And again, back to my brothers and sisters working for Lee Health down here, God bless them, because I know they're working hard and they're doing everything they can to help. And I just don't know if it's appreciated. People get selfish. I had one person who, granted, she's under a lot of pressure. She's an Uber driver. Evidently she's got her own child and then a couple nieces and nephews at home, and like her parents, that she's the main income for them. And I can understand her being, and I guess she had some other job on top of that. Be frustrated, but don't insult everybody else because they don't share your frustration or they feel differently. I mean, she was just vicious. Like, let me explain it. Let me follow the bouncing ball for all you people who don't get it. This is why I said this. Come on, don't be a bitch. Everybody has different situations. You don't have to be like that. And then other people just want to get political. Anytime you post anything, I posted a interview from Chris Wallace and Jon Stewart from like 7 years ago. And I posted it because I love how Chris Wallace goes toe-to-toe with Jon Stewart. And one of my friends, who is a friend off of Facebook, he can't help himself. Every time I post anything that might have to do with a liberal, because I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm me. I just thought it was an interesting interview. He had to point out that, well, Jon Stewart's wrong because CNN is biased. Yeah, CNN is super biased, very biased. This was from 7 years ago, before they were so biased. Now, one could argue maybe they were biased then. Of course they were. So was Fox News, and the mainstream media is all biased. But why are you attacking me about it? And then having to put up with my mother-in-law. Here it is. I lost my wife and my best friend, and she's putting stuff up that I have to find out from on social media, stating that, that I'm trying to be fraudulent on a GoFundMe. My kids and I had no income. I wasn't working. My wife had died. My best friend died, and she's on there putting crap up. And my kids didn't need that either. They're like, why is Meemaw acting like this? Stressful situations and social media just brings out the worst in people. There's some great things about it, but I can't take it anymore. Last Friday night, I get a message at like 1 o'clock in the morning from somebody who's a friend of mine who I've known for a very long time, actually, who outside of Facebook and everything else, asking why I'm friends with another friend. And I'm like, I just added this person on Facebook. I don't know them. Well, I'm really shocked that you're friends with them. And then doesn't want to follow up with the explanation. I even made a personal, I'll reveal a secret to your husband if you don't tell me what you're talking about. And then she ghosted me. And then the final kicker this weekend was just, I posted something from a semi-famous comedian who I think it's funny. He's done a lot of stand up. He's done voiceover work and everything else. Everybody pretty much knows. If you see him, he's just this goofy nerdy guy. And it was a little political, but he was just being sarcastic about the protest. And then this roommate who I've known for years, he had to make it political. They have a right to protest, and this guy's worth $14 million, and, who is he to say anything? And it's like, dude, it was a fucking joke. It was a joke. So I'm done for a while. Because it feeds into my depression, it feeds into my anxiety. And this all started last year when I found out that I had, through my depression had started going off the scale, and my anxiety was amping up again. And I'm like, what is wrong? Because life is good. This is when Brandy and I were getting along. She was, we had become best friends, and she had broken up with her boyfriend, and we decided to try the friendship thing. It's something we hadn't done before. She ended up moving back in, the whole deal. And so I finally got a hold of my doctor, and I'm like, let's run some labs. And it turned out that my testosterone was super way low, which explained why I was more depressed than I would be normally. But then I brought my anxiety up. I ended up in hospital. Too many pills and just being, I don't know. And thank God everything was on my chart so the doctors could see that it wasn't like would really want to go anywhere, leave my kids like that. And then August 12, 2019, I got the worst news you could get, which is when I found out that the mother of my children and my estranged wife and best friend, was found dead in the North Fort Myers hotel room. How do you get over that? I've done therapy. I've done another hotel stay. If you consider the Park Royal a hotel, but in the morbid reason that we're okay right now when a lot of you guys are out there struggling is because, she had life insurance and all that, so we're able to stay home for a little while. But then all this happens on top of it. It's hard. It might be a good time for me to delve into music, and I've been writing a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. But just everybody needs to be kinder to each other. And a lot of folks are, don't get me wrong, but we could use a little bit more kindness with everybody. Anyway, not like anybody's going to freaking watch us anyway, but God bless. Everybody take care of each other.